ಈ ವೇದಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭಿಕ ಗೋಷ್ಠಿ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭವಾಗಲಿದೆ. ಇನಾಗ್ರಲ್ ಸೆಷನ್, ಸೌತ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜಸ್, ದ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್.
Book Brahma Literature Festival 2024, Soul of South. Inaugural session, let us commence with the South Indian languages, the question of existence. We would like to invite the panel members, Mr. L Nagabhushanaswamy, Mr. Zacharia, Mr. Perumal Murugan, Mr. Vadrevu Chinaveerabhadrudu, and Madam Pratibha Nandakumar. For your information, Madam Pratibha Nandakumar would be the moderator for the session.
ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ಅಷ್ಟೂ ಜನ ಲೇಖಕರನ್ನ ವೇದಿಕೆಗೆ ಬರಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಪ್ರತಿಭಾ ನಂದಕುಮಾರ್ ಅವರು ಇಡೀ ಈ ಪ್ಯಾನಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಮಾಡರೇಟರ್ ಆಗಿ ನಿರ್ವಹಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಎಲ್ ನಾಗಭೂಷಣ್ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ಪಾಲ್ ಜಸೇರಿಯಾ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ಪೆರುಮಾಳ್ ಮುರುಗನ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ವಾದ್ರೇವು ಚಿನ್ನಭದ್ರುಡು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ರತಿಭಾ ನಂದಕುಮಾರ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಸಮ್ಮುಖದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭಿಕ ಗೋಷ್ಠಿಯನ್ನ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭಿಸಿ ಚರ್ಚೆಯನ್ನ ಮುಂದುವರಿಸಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ವಿನಂತಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಸೌತ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜಸ್, ದಕ್ಷಿಣ ಭಾರತದ ಭಾಷೆಗಳು, ದ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್, ಅಸ್ತಿತ್ವವನ್ನ ಕುರಿತು ಒಂದು ಚರ್ಚೆ ನಡೆಯಲಿದೆ. ಓವರ್ ಟು ಯು ಸರ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
Thank you very much. I'm Pratibha Nandakumar, extremely privileged to be moderating this session with the stalwarts of all the 4 languages. I wanted to introduce them properly, then the whole session would take up that time. Perumal Murugan sir, welcome sir. L Nagabhushanaswamy, welcome sir. And my dear friend Paul Zacharia, welcome sir. Vadrevu Chinaveerabhadrudu, welcome sir. I'll just give a 3-minute introduction into this topic and then open the stage for discussion, deliberation I should say. See, when the typewriter was invented, everybody thought that is the end of Kannada. Then we got Kannada typewriter. Then when we got electronic typewriter, they thought, oh, this is the end of Kannada, but we got electronic typewriter in Kannada also. Then the computer. We got the software in Kannada for computers also. And then came the digital world. And once a language gets into the digital world, the word extinction does not have any meaning. And all the 4 languages that we are representing are very strongly represented in the digital arena. So I don't know why or what we mean by the question of existence. Do we really think that the languages are endangered? And I just went through some survey or some write-ups about this. See, in 2001, census said, this is from the Center for Endangered Languages and Mother Tongue Studies in the University of Hyderabad. Panchan and Mohanty has done this survey. It says we only have 122 languages in this country, the 2001 census said. And the same report says that India has 1,635 mother tongues. In 1971, the government of India decided not to list those languages with less than 10,000 speakers as languages of, official languages. In India, 96.56% of people speak in the 22 languages scheduled in Indian Constitution. And after that, at that time, the report also said that nobody has carried out a comprehensive survey of all the endangered languages in this country till date. So we do not know how many languages in this country are endangered. And then after that, I have one map that says, just give me a minute, that there is no such danger to any language. How did this shift happen? See, this is the map that says the languages are endangered or extinct is a much hyped topic with no or very less facts. According to the census of 2011, more than 19,500 mother tongues are registered. And 197 languages of India are endangered, vulnerable, or extinct by 2007, as per a report, is questionable. And I also have some more reports, but I will come to that later. So I would like to open this debate with asking Mr. Paul Zacharia to deliberate on Malayalam. Malayalam, as I saw, is supposed to be the strongest, least bothered with the fear of being extinct or even endangered. It says that Malayalam is the strongest of the South Indian languages because of the Malayalam diaspora, and then the future of Malayalam is expected to remain strong for several reasons because of the official language status and the culture and literary heritage and education system, technological adaptation, etc. So, sir, can you first tell us how can we say that the Malayalam is the strongest among the South Indian languages? Do you agree with it or you think it is not the case? Yeah.
Pratibha asked me a very flattering question because, I don't know whether Malayalam is the strongest language. As a Malayali, I have my own doubts. But it is managing. Most probably Tamil is also managing, Kannada is managing, Telugu also, I am sure. We are all thriving, essentially. Once in a while, if somebody in New Delhi says we are going to make Hindi take over everything, and you know and I know that it's not going to work. It can never work. Earlier, we used to think that only Tamil Nadu would stand up to such rather foolish presumptions. But I think now the whole of South is more or less mentally ready for such things. Anyway, I have 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. Yes, take it.
So I was looking at why what we could think Malayalam is a live language, at least minimum. But I think it's because it's still like your languages. It's a language of the street and the home. There isn't any other language of the street and of the home, of the marketplace. That makes the language come alive and live essentially in Malayalam. Then all the dialects in Malayalam are doing well. When I am talking about dialects, because there's a big, which you wouldn't know, people who come from outside Kerala wouldn't know, from district to district, and from one end of the Kerala to the other end, accents differ. For example, if I go to Kasaragod, I hardly can make out what they are saying in the name of Malayalam. Well, most probably it would be the same thing would apply to me when I speak sitting in Trivandrum. So, but Kochi, Trichur, they all have different dialects. So, but all the dialects are doing well. Sahitya Academy, our Sahitya Academy president is sitting here, so you should know Sachidanandan. So, thirdly, it continues to be the one of the two important, or perhaps the majority of the medium of instruction in the two English and Malayalam. There are larger number of students studying in Malayalam medium than in English. That's a good sign. That's a very good sign if you ask me, because students are kept in touch with this, in spite of the fact that many parents would like their children to study in English medium because it equips them to go out, because the average Malayali boy or girl is trained to become an export commodity as early as possible. Get out, go, run away from the politics in Kerala. So, but, Malayalam medium is very strong. Third, then the next one is, it is the language of popular cinema. That's not a small matter, which is the case with every one of these languages. As long as popular cinema uses Malayalam can't die. It is there, because cinema is part and parcel of our lives. Whatever we say, it could be mediocre, it could be bad, it could be all kinds of terrible things, but it entertains and keeps people watching and listening. So that's another very important thing. And then not lastly, it is the language of politics. No politician can hunt for votes speaking in English or some other language. He has to speak Malayalam. So that keeps Malayalam alive. And it is also, these are all three dangerous areas I am talking about. It's the language of religion. No priest can sell his religion unless he sells it in Malayalam. That's another thing. He can't sell it in English or Hindi or this thing. He can't do that. Then it is the language of another dangerous area, but very useful area, is the mainstream media. all the newspapers, all the television channels, they can do it only in Malayalam. And therefore, I say that these three things, politics, religion, and language, that is where largest number of lies are spoken in Malayalam. Malayalam becomes a tool for lying in the hands of these three sections, which is very unfortunate. Then it is the language of, as Pratibha said, it's a language of first generation immigrants all over the world. About that, I think she will be asking me again. I will explain that. First generation, I said. Lastly, I am saying lastly because it's a language of literature. But then I say lastly because literature is a minority basically. See, there are about 3 crore, more than 3 and something like 3.5 crore Malayalis. But a best-selling book, like my friend Benjamin, a best-selling book means about maximum of 10,000 copies a year. What is 10,000 out of 3 crores? So literature has always been a minority activity everywhere. I'm sure it's in every language, but it has managed to create a larger than life image, which makes it look much bigger than what it is, which is good for all of us writers and people like us who are surviving on literature. And lastly, I think the literary festivals we have been, like this one, we have been holding in Kerala for a long time. That has helped Malayalam come alive again and again, not only in Kerala, but in the minds of people from all over the world. Malayalam keeps, because the Calicut Festival, the Trivandrum Festival, there must be at least 8 or 10 festivals now, all of them doing pretty well. So these festivals also have made us come alive. My 5 minutes have come to an end.
I'll come back to you, sir, the second round. See, what Mr. Paul Zacharia said about the Malayalam being used, it's not that we are not using the South Indian languages in our day-to-day affairs. How much of it is the actual language? How much of it is a mix actually? So I read one write-up about Telugu. Is Telugu language dying? It says that Telugu only 60% is English and only 40% is Telugu. Because so much of English is being mixed in the language that they use every day. So slowly they are losing out on some of the words that we otherwise used to use. Now I want to ask, in fact there's another sentence, sir, before I come to you. There is in this write-up it says, to compare Telugu with Tamil's huge sense of identity because of the language, Telugu's identity by language is non-existent, it said. So, sir, can you tell us about yeah, you can go. He has prepared actually a paper.
Yeah. Ma'am, before going to your question now, I would also start with the question that you have asked Mr. Zacharia. Is about the existence of the languages. And 2 decades back, P.V. Narasimha Rao, a polyglot, he was fluent in at least 16 languages. So when he met writers at Hyderabad, one popular writer has asked him, sir, people are saying that Telugu is going to get extinct. Would it be a possibility? And Narasimha Rao smiled at him. He said, I don't think either Telugu or for that matter any major Indian language would face the threat of extinction. And he said, primarily 3, what Zacharia has said actually, he put it in a better way. He said, as long as there are active speakers, and as long as there are practitioners of literature, and as long as there is a very vibrant media, and of course, adding politics and religion, I don't think any language would get extinct. In Telugu, let me share with a matter of pride that we are the largest of the South India, with 110 million speakers across the globe. And there is a database, ethnologue.com, which maintains the database of around 7,000 and odd languages in the world. And ethnologue.com has given 17th place to Telugu. That means Telugu is in the first 20 major world languages. And when I was a child, when I acquired the speech from my mother, I was not aware that I inherited a 2000-year-old rich literary tradition. I didn't know by that time. It took years for me to understand that I inherited a major literary language in the world. It's not an ordinary language. A language that could assimilate both South and North. And madam, if you see the history of, I'm not going into history, but only one sentence. If you see the history of India, if you take away the Telugu land, I think the India would have been two blocks, North and South. It is the Telugu land that has integrated the North and the South in different ways. And Telugu carries the vigor of Tamil and the brightness of Sanskrit. Telugu carries the fluency of Urdu and the mellowfulness of Prakrit. Telugu is a great crucible. It's a great assimilator. And Mr. Rao was right. I don't think Telugu is going to face the kind of threat, nor Tamil, nor Kannada, nor Malayalam. But madam, yes, we have issues. We have issues, and we have issues especially when you said about the vocabulary. Let me tell you, English, as per the ethnologue.com, English is the largest spoken language in the world. And madam, tell me, what is the vocabulary of Anglo-Saxon in the English? People say it is less than 20% of Anglo-Saxon vocabulary is in English. In fact, those are all conjunctions. What, where, when, how, he, she, the pronouns and the conjunctions, and maybe the interjunctions. Most of the vocabulary, more than 75% of the English vocabulary consists of the vocabulary of all major world languages. Vocabulary doesn't make a language. In Telugu, in the earlier years, that is up to, let me say, up to 13th, 14th centuries, it has picked up. Sanskrit has a great infiltration into Telugu. Around 80% of our Telugu was carrying Sanskrit vocabulary. Our first poet, major poet, Nannaya, people criticize him saying that he has taken 80% of Sanskrit. And recently I have read one article. Our first major modern Telugu work, Kanya Shulkam, the greatest drama written by Gurjat Apparao, I was thinking that it carried a lot of English vocabulary. But recently, somebody has opened my eyes saying that 1/3 of Kanya Shulkam carries Urdu and Persian vocabulary. In the Middle Ages, that is from 14th century till 19th century, it was Urdu and Persian that have occupied predominantly the Telugu vocabulary. And now, of course, English. So vocabulary, and Telugu has this uncanny capacity. Let me say uncanny because Telugu has this capacity to digest any vocabulary of any language. That's why J.B.S. Haldane once suggested that Telugu be made the national language of India because it can carry out the vocabulary from any language with its pronunciation. Suppose you have to write Socrates in Hindi. How do you write? Sukarat. If you have to write Aristotle in Hindi, how do you say? Arastu. If you have to say Russia in Hindi, what do you say? Rus. In Telugu, we will say Russia, Aristotle, Socrates, Nedunjalian. Any word Telugu can imbibe and absorb. Telugu has that capacity. But there is a question. If there are equivalent words in Telugu, what Tamil is doing, if there is an equivalent word that you can create, people cite this example when the film Robo was released. In Tamil, it was released with the name Endiran. But in Telugu, they called it Robo. If they have released the film with the name Yantrudu in Telugu, it would have become an utter flop. Only Robo would become a success in Telugu. And I would not find fault with the capacity of Telugu. If Telugu has the capacity to absorb more of English into its blood, I think it's a merit rather than a demerit. And of course, I have some concerns which I will come back again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I look forward to the second part of your talk, sir. See, with Kannada, we have a very peculiar problem that are very, very specific only to Kannada. I cannot apply that to the other languages. I would like L Nagabhushanaswamy to talk about, just give some pointers, sir. One is the effect of English education. And then there is a notion that Kannada no longer helps to attain employment. Ammana bhasheinda annada bhashe is what is the current talk is happening right now. And we also have this Kannada Rathayatra now. the kind of the dichotomy, and the two extremes in which on the one end we have very rich cultural, social things happening, and on the other hand, total ignorance and total disregard for the language because of the infiltrators in quotes. They are the valase janagalu, which are coming into the Karnataka. So, and Kannada, in fact, there was one instance when Google search engine said Kannada is the ugliest language in the world. Immediately everybody protested and Google apologized, and that was changed actually. So Kannada is always on the receiving end when it comes to the influences of external influences, be it the language or the culture or whatever it is. And more of this, Olen sir will talk about.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಸತ್ಯ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಉತ್ಪ್ರೇಕ್ಷೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೇಳೋದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು ಅಂತ ಕೆಲವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಕನ್ನಡ ಏನು ಸಾಯುವಂಥ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಆದರೆ ಸಾಯುವಂಥ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಎಚ್ಚರಿಸಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕೆಲವರ ಅಪೇಕ್ಷೆ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಆದರೆ ಕನ್ನಡದ ಬಳಕೆಯ ವಲಯ ಕುಗ್ಗುತ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ನಿಜ. ಕನ್ನಡವನ್ನು ಬಳಸುವವರ ವಯೋಮಾನ ಅದು ಕುಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಕನ್ನಡ ಮಾತಾಡುವವರು ಇರುವವರೆಗೂ ಕನ್ನಡ ಖಂಡಿತ ಜೀವಂತವಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಆದರೆ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ರೆಸ್ಪಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಡೋರು ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನನ್ನ ಮೊಮ್ಮಗನ ಹತ್ರ ಗುರುವಾರ ಅಂದರೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಥರ್ಸ್ಡೇ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ಅವನಿಗೆ. 17 ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಲ್ಲ, 17 ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು. ಅಂದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಮಾಜದಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಉನ್ನತ ಶ್ರೇಣಿಯ ಮಧ್ಯಮ ವರ್ಗದ ಅಥವಾ ಮೇಲು ಜಾತಿಯ ಜನಗಳು ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷನ್ನು ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಪವರ್ ಅಂತ ಒಪ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಿಂದ ದೂರ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸಮೂಹದ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ನಿಂದ ಪ್ರಭಾವಕ್ಕೆ ಗುರಿಯಾಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಶಾಲೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ನಡ ಬಳಸಿದರೆ ಶಿಕ್ಷೆ ಕೊಡುವಂಥ ಶಾಲೆಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಹಾಗಿರುವಾಗ ಎಳೆಯ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಕನ್ನಡದಿಂದ ದೂರ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಕನ್ನಡ ಬರೀ ಮುದುಕರ ಭಾಷೆಗೆ ಉಳಿಬಹುದು ಅನ್ನುವ ಆತಂಕ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾರಣ ನಮ್ಮ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಹೌದು, ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ವಿಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರೋದು ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಎರಡೂ ಇದೆ. ಮೂರನೇದು ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಯಾವ ಭಾಷೆಯೂ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಭಾಷೆಗೆ ಶತ್ರುವೂ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಕೆಟ್ಟದ್ದೂ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ಭಾಷೆಯನ್ನು ಬಳಸುವವರು ಹಂಗಾಗಬಹುದು. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು, ಭಾಷೆಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ಈಗ ಬಳಸ್ತಾ ಇರೋ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನೊಂದು ಶೋಷಣೆಯ ಉಪಕರಣವಾಗಿ ಮತ್ತು ಹಿಂಸೆಯ ಉಪಕರಣವಾಗಿ ಬಳಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. So friends, what I was trying to say in my language was that whatever truth that is to be told, sometimes it is better to exaggerate it. Right? Kannada has no fear of extinction so long as there are Kannada speakers. But my fear is there may not be any listeners to Kannada, because younger children of affluent families, middle class families, and urban centers are forcefully taken away from Kannada. There are many schools which punish children if they speak Kannada in the English medium class. So, Kannada, I think, maybe in exaggeration, is becoming the language of the older people. Most of the youngsters may not understand the Kannada I speak. Maybe because of our adherence to Kannada, are we cut away from the younger world? These questions come. Well, no language is an enemy of another language. No language is weak or poor or insufficient. Each language is technically sufficient, powerful, and useful. But in reality, the people who have political and economic power, their language becomes to dominate the other languages. Kannada is facing such threat of English and to some extent Hindi. So that is a threat which can be countered through social action, bringing economic, so many other things are there. But extinction, no, it is not possible. But fear of the area of the usage of Kannada language is diminishing as time is going on. Younger people are slowly being taken away. For that, lack of political will and the faulty education system are responsible for that. For other things, I'll come
Sir, you are
later.
scaring us, sir. Actually, I want to mention an incident that happened last Saturday in the Bangalore Poetry Festival. The Tamil and other language actor Nasir was having a session there. And he narrated one incident in which he said a young Tamil director had given him a bound script for a Tamil film, and the entire script was written in Roman phonetics of in English phonetics. He said usually he doesn't get angry, but he said he was so angry he threw away the script. Because he said, how can a Tamil director give an entire script to a Tamil actor in English Roman scripts, in phonetics? But then in Hindi these days, all the younger actors, they can't read Hindi. So for them, the script is given in phonetics, English phonetics. And then I found out that it is slowly that is the practice that is, being used everywhere now. But then I want to ask Perumal Murugan sir about the Hindi language imposition that they are fighting. And also I read in one news item yesterday that Tamil language is facing threat in the hands of DMK. The party which preaches people to keep names in Tamil language is not following it. And he was targeting Stalin, asking if Stalin is a Tamil name. He said everybody should give their children Tamil names. It cannot be just the names, So, sir, what is the problem that Tamil is facing when it comes to the influences by Hindi or other languages?
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். இப்போ உங்கள் மேடம் சொன்ன ரெண்டு விஷயம், அதாவது தமிழ் மொழியை இங்கிலீஷ் எழுத்தில் எழுதுறது அல்லது ஹிந்தி எழுத்தில் எழுதுறது அப்படிங்கிறது அது எங்கோ சில இடங்களில் நடக்கிறது. இப்போது சினிமாவை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் பார்த்திங்கன்னா, இப்போ தமிழில் ரொம்ப ஃபேமஸான பாடகி பி சுசீலா, எஸ் ஜானகி, ரெண்டு பேருக்கும் தமிழ் தெரியாது, தமிழ் எழுத படிக்க அவங்களுக்கு தெரியாது. அவங்க தமிழ் வார்த்தையை கேட்டு தெலுங்கு ஸ்கிரிப்டில் எழுதிக்கிட்டு தான் பாடுவாங்க. கிட்டத்தட்ட 50 வருஷம் 60 வருஷம் பாடுறவங்க கூட அவங்க தெலுங்கில் எழுதிக்கிட்டு தான் பாடுவாங்க. இது ஒரு லாங்குவேஜை இன்னொரு ஸ்கிரிப்டில் எழுதுறதுங்கிறது அது எங்காவது சில இடங்களில் நடக்கிறது. அது மொழியினுடைய எக்ஸிஸ்டன்ஸுக்கு பெரிய அச்சுறுத்தல் கிடையாது. அதே போல் பெயர்கள்லேயும், இப்போ பெயர்கள்லேயும் சொல்லுவாங்க, இப்போ தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் ஸ்டாலின் தமிழ் பெயரா அப்படின்னு கூட கேட்பாங்க. ஸ்டாலின்னு அவர் பெயர் வச்சது ரஷ்யாவில் ஸ்டாலின் இறந்த போது இவர் பிறந்ததுனால அந்த பெயர் வச்சார். அதனால எல்லாம் இந்த மாதிரி சில பெயர்கள் இதனால எல்லாம் லாங்குவேஜுக்கு பெரிய பாதிப்பு வந்துடாதுன்னு நான் நினைக்கிறேன். ஆக்சுவலாக தமிழ் மொழிக்கு அதனுடைய சிறப்பு இதெல்லாம் நான் எல்லாத்துக்கும் தெரியும், நான் சொல்லலை. ரெண்டு பிரச்சனை தான் இவர் சார் சொன்ன, கன்னடத்துக்கு சொன்ன ரெண்டு தான். இந்தி இதோட ப்ளஸ் சமஸ்கிருதம் சேர்த்துக்கலாம். சமஸ்கிருதமும் இந்தி இதனால அதனுடைய அதிகாரத்தினால ஏற்படக்கூடிய பாதிப்பு. இன்னொன்று இங்கிலீஷ். இது ரெண்டு தான். இப்போ சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட்டுடைய மொழிக் கொள்கை, அது காங்கிரஸ் அரசாக இருந்தாலும் சரி, ஜனதாவாக இருந்தாலும் சரி, பாரதிய ஜனதாவாக இருந்தாலும் சரி, அவர்கள் தமிழுக்கு எதிரானவர்கள் தான். தமிழுக்கு மட்டும் இல்லை, இந்தியன் லாங்குவேஜஸ்க்கே எதிரானவர்கள். இந்திக்கு தான் ஆதரவாக இருக்கக்கூடியவர்களாக இருக்காங்க. இந்தி, அப்புறம் முடிஞ்ச இடங்கள்ல சமஸ்கிருதம், இது ரெண்டை தான் திரும்ப திரும்ப ஏதாவது ஒரு வழியில மற்ற மொழி பேசக்கூடிய மக்கள் மேல கொண்டு திணிச்சுக்கிட்டே இருக்காங்க. இப்போவும் நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா, இப்போ சில மாதங்களாக ஒரு ஸ்டேட் பேங்க்ல இருந்து எனக்கு மெசேஜ் வருது, ஹிந்தியில மெசேஜ் வருது. இது வரைக்கும் அப்படி வந்ததில்லை, இப்போ ஹிந்தியில வருது. திருச்சியிலிருந்து சென்னைக்கு போகக்கூடிய ஃப்ளைட்டில் ஹிந்தியில் அனௌன்ஸ்மெண்ட், தமிழில் கிடையாது. திருச்சியிலிருந்து சென்னைக்கு போகிறவங்களில் 90% தமிழர்கள் தான் இருப்பாங்க. வேற மொழிக்காரங்க இருந்தால் கூட ஒரு 10% அவங்களுக்கும் ஓரளவுக்கு தமிழ் தெரிஞ்சவங்களா தான் இருப்பாங்க. ஆனால் அதில் ஹிந்தியில் அனௌன்ஸ்மெண்ட். நீங்கள் ஒரு கேஸுக்கு புக் பண்ணுங்க, முன்னாடி நம்பர் 1 அழுத்தினா தமிழ் வரும், இப்போ நம்பர் 9 அழுத்தினா தான் தமிழ் வரும். 1ல் ஹிந்தி வந்துருச்சு. நீங்கள் எங்கெங்கெல்லாம் முடியுமோ அங்கெல்லாம் ஹிந்தியை கொண்டு வர்றது. அதே போல் இன்னைக்கு நிறைய பேங்க்ல, ரயில்வேல நிறைய இப்போ பிரச்சனை வருது. ஒரு கிராமத்து ஸ்டேஷனில் டிக்கெட் கொடுக்குற ஒரு ஹிந்திக்காரராக இருக்கார். அவர்கிட்ட போய் தமிழில் கேட்டால் ஊர் பேர் தெரிய மாட்டேங்குது. கிராமத்து மக்கள் போய் எப்படி அவர்கிட்ட ஹிந்தியில் பேசுவாங்க? அப்போ ஹிந்தியை வந்து இந்த மாதிரி எங்கெங்கெல்லாம் முடியுமோ அங்கெல்லாம் கொண்டு வராங்க. அதே போல் சமஸ்கிருதத்தையும் நீங்கள் இன்னைக்கு கிராமங்களில் இருக்கக்கூடிய தெய்வங்களுக்கு பூஜை பண்ணக்கூடிய பூசாரிகளுக்கு சமஸ்கிருத மந்திரத்தை சொல்லித்தர்றதுக்கு கேம்ப் நடத்துகிறாங்க. நிறைய அந்த மாதிரி அவங்களெல்லாம் கூப்பிட்டு வந்து தமிழில் மந்திரம் சொல்ல வேண்டாம், சமஸ்கிருத மந்திரம் சொல்லுங்கன்னு கேம்ப் நடத்தி அவங்களுக்கு பயிற்சி கொடுக்குறாங்க. அப்போ இது வந்து முதலாவது பாதிப்பு. இன்னொன்று நான் சொல்லிடுறேன். ரெண்டாவது, ஸ்டேட் கவர்மெண்ட்டுடைய எஜுகேஷன் பாலிசி. சாரும் அதை குறிப்பிட்டு சொன்னார். இங்கிலீஷ் மீடியம் அப்படிங்கிறது நமக்கு பொதுவாக உலக அளவிலேயே எஜுகேஷன் வந்து அது மதர் டேங்கில் தான் இருக்கணும். தமிழ் மீடியம், இப்போ தமிழ்நாடுனா தமிழ் மீடியத்தில் தான் எல்லா பாடமும் சொல்லித்தரணும். ஆனால் இங்கே அப்படி இல்லை, இங்கிலீஷ் மீடியம். அப்போ நீங்கள் அதுவும் ஹையர் எஜுகேஷன் முழுக்க இங்கிலீஷ் மீடியத்தில் இருக்குது. நீதிமன்றத்தில் இங்கிலீஷ் இருக்குது. அஃபிஷியல் லாங்குவேஜாக நிறைய கடிதங்கள் வந்து இங்கிலீஷில் வருது. இப்போ ஸ்டேட் கவர்மெண்ட் அது திமுகவாக இருந்தாலும் அண்ணா திமுகவாக இருந்தாலும் தமிழை பேசுகிறாங்க. ஆனால் இதுலையெல்லாம் மாற்றத்தை கொண்டு வர்றதுக்கு அவங்க முயற்சி பண்ணுறது இல்லை. அதனால் இன்னைக்கு இங்கிலீஷ் மீடியம்ங்கிறது மிகப்பெரிய ஒரு பாதிப்பாக இருக்குது. இப்போ இது இலக்கிய வாசகர்களே நிறைய பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அவங்க பேரண்ட்ஸ் இங்கிலீஷ் மீடியத்தில் சேர்த்து படிக்க வச்சுருவாங்க. இவங்க அதுக்கப்புறம் படித்து முடிச்சுட்டு வந்து தான் தமிழை கற்றுக்கக்கூடியவர்களாக இருக்கிறாங்க. அந்த மாதிரியான நிலை இருக்குது. இது ரெண்டு தான் தமிழுக்கு எதிர்காலத்தில் பாதிப்பு வரணும்னா இந்த ரெண்டு நாள தான் பாதிப்பு வரும். மற்றது தமிழை இன்னைக்கு காப்பாற்றி கொண்டு இருக்கக்கூடியது எதுனா இலக்கியம் காப்பாற்றுது, இன்னொன்று சினிமா காப்பாற்றுது. அதுவும் சினிமாவில் எங்களுடைய நகைச்சுவை நடிகர்கள் வடிவேலு மாதிரியான ஆட்கள் வந்து தமிழ் மொழியை ரொம்ப பிரமாதமாக காப்பாற்றிட்டு இருக்கிறாங்க. ஆமாம், வடிவேலுடைய நிறைய டைலாக்ஸ் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா மக்களுடைய வழக்கில் அன்றாட மொழியில் பயன்படுத்திட்டு இருக்கிறோம். அது மாதிரி சில விஷயங்கள் அதே போல் இணையம் காப்பாற்றுது, இதெல்லாம் காப்பாற்றிட்டு இருந்தது. ஆனால் அரசுகள் வந்து தமிழ் மொழிக்கு எதிரானவையாகத்தான் இருக்கின்றன.
சார் ரொம்ப ஸ்ட்ராங்காக சொல்லிட்டீங்க சார். சொல்லலாமா? See, one very interesting point he mentioned was that P. Sushila and S. Janaki, who are very popular singers, and they have been singing Tamil songs for past 50 years, they didn't know how to read and write Tamil. They were writing the lyrics in Telugu and singing, but still they are called and claimed as Tamil singers. So this writing in English phonetics, he says, is not a new thing. It was happening earlier also. And he feels that the main enemies of Tamil right now is Hindi and English. Because in any government, he says all the governments are against Indian languages. He says they enforce Hindi on people. Like even when they send messages, it is coming in Hindi. And all announcements in train or in airports are made in Hindi. And earlier, if you're using an app, the first option used to be Tamil. Now he says, if you want to speak Hindi, it is the number 1 is Hindi, and Tamil has gone to the number 9. And then he says that there are camps held to teach Tamil priests to learn Sanskrit mantras. That was another major complaint that people have been making. And he says the education is giving more and more importance to English, and slowly the Tamil is dwindling. And he says what is actually saving Tamil are literature and films. He says the films, the way it is taking language to the world, it's only literature and films, and he gives 0 marks to the politicians, because politicians, he says, are not interested in saving the language. Sir, I will come to you in the second half again. Okay. Now, in this situation, as I said, once a language gets into the digital arena, in the digital platform, it cannot go extinct. Like we have translations now, voice translations, voice typing. So the younger generation, as Mr. Olen was telling, that they are not using. Now they are using, because in all the apps, they type Kannada in English also. And so they are using the language, though the writing Kannada in English is not welcome, but still they are using Kannada in their day-to-day affairs in a different way, And some of them, now that we are using Kannada in all the apps also, so I don't think we need to worry so much about being extinct, actually. It is only that the way we use language has undergone a paradigm shift now. So now we are open to global influences, so we are taking all the other influences, meanwhile maintaining what we have, that is our language, our culture, and because any living culture cannot escape any sort of influence, external influence. So we have to accept now, and especially in this satellite television era, where the world culture is available in your drawing room, we have this risk of getting too much of it into our lives. Like in Bangalore right now, we are in the mix of so many cultures that in one line, you can find the Mexican food, you can find Korean, you can find Chinese, you can find everything here. So even somebody who was eating ragi mudde till yesterday is now eating momos and all kinds of food, So with food and language, if we can make this kind of I don't want to say adjustment. Adjust ಮಾಡ್ಕೊ is a very famous usage in Kannada, where you say ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ adjust ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Sir, how is it that the Malayalam diaspora did not face this? Because their Malayalis are using Malayalam in the north, in America or Middle East or all over Europe. So how is it that they are retaining their Malayalam, whereas the Kannadigas are facing problem in Bangalore?
I think, Pratibha, the Kannadiga problem you mentioned is related only to Bangalore, I think. Not to the, not to rest of Kannada. But yeah, that's, because I've lived in, Bangalore is my university town. I've seen Bangalore I came to Bangalore first time in 1961, much before many of the people who are sitting here were born. So I'm an alumni of Central College, by the way, yeah. So I know how Bangalore has evolved. I would say it's a cosmopolitan city taking the pressure very well, in a manner of speaking. It is suffering Malayalis, for example. It is suffering all kinds of people all over. So it's a great place, actually. But as Pratibha said, it is under pressure. And I think the Malayali sentiment for Malayalam and the Kerala way of living has been kept alive. That is why I said, when I mentioned the methodology of how Malayalam is being alive, that the first generation immigrant is the only one who is in touch with Malayalam. The guy who lives here, say today, leaves Kerala today and reaches God knows where in the world, he will keep alive his memories, his love for music, Malayalam music. By Malayalam music, I mean it's all film music, and it's very good. And film music and literature, etc., etc. But at the second generation level, it is just withering away. It's hardly working. Unless the parents have taken very conscious decision to make their children speak in Malayalam, etc., which is, I think, very unfair to those children. Because they are not going to grow up in Kerala. They are going to grow up in New York or Washington or God knows where. So there can't be two people at the same time. They have to be either they are brought up in the USA, they are Americans. So when I travel around and when people complain to me, I say that this cannot be helped. But the only thing is, so those children are not going to come, they are not going to come back to Kerala ever, nor are they going to speak or practice Malayalam language, or they don't listen to Malayalam music, they don't read Malayalam literature. They're cut off. They are only looking like Malayalis, if there is a Malayali look, if there is such and such a thing. Anyway, so in other words, the edge, what I was about to say was that, but this is an ever widening fringe of immigrants going out from Kerala to all the places in the world, because Kerala is today, I think, once upon a time it was Punjab, but I think today, Malayalis export the largest quantum of human resource, manpower, woman power, especially woman power, across the world. Because nurses, I think, even right in the beginning, women immigrants were at the forefront, which the male community refused to recognize that women were the pioneers. Like the European Malayali diaspora was set up by the nurses, by nobody else, because Europe didn't want any male worker at that time. Only nurses were needed. They set up the diaspora. They invited their relatives, their friends, etc., 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 and therefore slowly in Europe there was a Malayali diaspora, which is now an established fact. Same thing in the USA. The nurses they came back to Kerala, married. Anyway, this is another story. So what I'm saying is, this widening diaspora awareness of more and more first generation Malayalis migrating and keeping the Malayalam memories alive is making a big difference to the language. It is making, and to what is going on in Kerala today because of the internet. They are all constantly in touch with the newspapers, with the television, with the cinema, with literature, and they themselves are writing in Malayalam in those. So this is the new, Sachidanandan is here, he as an academy man, he knows that this is the new territory, the new border of Malayalam, the border that's created by the people, Malayalis who are outside Kerala and living outside. So that way it is very, very valid. And I have a lot of hope that even if in Kerala, as Mr. Perumal Murugan said, it cannot die, but as he said, he voiced a very important concern, because Tamil actually has taken a stronger stand, or perhaps the strongest stand in India against any kind of superimposition of Hindi or any other language on it. But it is from Tamil Nadu that he had to say, to voice this anxiety that things may get out of control. So that is a very important concern. When you are confronted with Hindi language, when in a village somebody speaks to you in Hindi, it's not undemocratic. You can speak to anybody in any language. You may not be understood. But what I'm saying is, when it is as a language of power, of authority, of control, of domination, then it is unacceptable. That is the only thing. Otherwise, Hindi is a beautiful language. All my most favorite songs are from Hindi. Like for many thousands of people. So that concern is there.
Sir, we are running out of time.
Otherwise, I think we are all generally doing well. Thank you, Pratibha.
3 minutes.
I have brought a paper. I would share it with you, madam. Yes. Instead of reading out again, I would only share 2-3 points here. One is, when I think it is high time that we should talk about making our languages global languages rather than talking about or worrying about the possible extinction of these languages. When I read the book, there are 2 books written by David Crystal, the tallest man on English language. So one is The Language Death. When I read that book, then I confirmed that, Telugu is not going to see the language death. But the other book is really interesting. He wrote the book English as a Global Language. When I read, I have seen some article, some 10-15 years back, somebody was arguing on the internet why Spanish cannot become a global language. In fact, Spanish occupies 3rd place in the speakers list, and the 3rd person is now thinking about how to occupy the 1st person. Then why should not me, the 17th person, why should I not also think about making Telugu as a global language? I mean, it is high time. And I tell you, if films are making my language alive, in fact, I feel rather worried because I don't want to remain as an entertaining language. If Telugu films are entertaining people and Telugu is made alive by the films, I'm not happy about it. In fact, there is an old saying which says, it needs an army and a navy to make a dialect into a language. I would say we need an army of thinkers and a navy of translators to make our language a global language. I think our language should become language of science and technology. Yes, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam have reached the highest form of literary value. I mean, our forefathers, successive dynasties, a galaxy of poets have enriched our language into the best world-class languages as far as literature is concerned. As far as Kavya Bhasha is concerned, we are we are far excellent. But I am not happy with that. We have to become language of science, language of technology. Is there anybody who is going to learn Tamil or Telugu or Kannada to read a science book in Kannada or Telugu? You know, you must have heard about this example of Giuseppe Ungaretti, who is an Italian poet. He learned Danish to read Kierkegaard in Danish. So is there any native speaker in the world who is going to learn Tamil or Telugu or Kannada to read a thinker, to read a philosophical text in Telugu? And of course, translators. This is the age of translators. In fact, I'm quite happy when I found that Mr. Nagabhushanaswamy has translated 19 Han poems, Chinese Han poems, into Kannada. And I felt very happy because I have also translated few of Han Chinese poems into Telugu. I mean, this is the age, and he doesn't know Chinese, nor I know. How could we do this? We could do this because of net, because of internet, because of the digital era. And all the South Indian languages have now got the greatest opportunity to become into global languages. And one point I would like to mention about the tribal languages. The note you have shared, in which GN Devi mentioned about Odisha government's efforts. In fact, Madam, Telugu, the Andhra Pradesh government is a pioneer. We have developed textbooks in 6 tribal languages. When Papua New Guinea is the largest indigenous languages country. When Papua New Guinea could develop for only 2 tribal languages, it was Andhra Pradesh who could develop primers in tribal language for 6 languages simultaneously. And now, the National Book Trust of India, Patipaka Mohan, has actually initiated a process in translating children literature from tribal language to Telugu.
So we need to.
Yeah, I'll
conclude,
take
sir.
only 2 seconds. There is one writer called Mallipuram Jagadish. He's an emerging tribal writer in Telugu. He wrote somewhere that one's language is one's responsibility. I think instead of criticizing somebody that he is invading us and he is making us threats, I think it is we have to shoulder the responsibility of enriching our language and protecting our language. Thank you.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you. Sir, ஏதாவது சொல்ல விரும்புறீங்களா?
ஒரே ஒரு சின்ன விஷயம் சொல்லி முடிச்சுக்கிறேன். அதாவது பால் சக்கரியா சார் சொன்ன மாதிரி லாங்குவேஜில் டெமோக்ரஸி இருக்கணும். ஒரு லாங்குவேஜை சேர்ந்தவங்க இன்னொரு லாங்குவேஜ் மேலே தங்களுடைய பவரை காட்டணும் அப்படின்னு முயற்சி பண்ணுறது சரியானதில்லை. எப்படி பறவைகள் ஒவ்வொரு பறவையும் ஒவ்வொரு விதமான ஒலி எழுப்புதோ அது மாதிரி மனித குலம் அங்கங்கே குழுக்களாக இருந்தவர்கள் ஒவ்வொருவரும் தங்களுக்கான மொழியை கண்டுபிடிச்சிருக்காங்க. மனிதனுடைய கண்டுபிடிப்புகள்லேயே அற்புதமானது மொழின்னு தான் நான் சொல்லுவேன். இந்த மொழிகளை எத்தனை இருக்குதோ அத்தனை மொழிகளையும் காப்பாற்றணும் என்ற பார்வை தான் இருக்கணும். ஏன் மொழி தான் வாழணும், ஏன் மொழி தான் மற்றவர்கள் பேசணும் அப்படிங்கிற பார்வை ரொம்ப ரொம்ப தவறு என்பது தான் என்னுடைய எண்ணம்.
தேங்க்யூ சார். He says all the languages must be protected. Sir, I want OLN sir to conclude this.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ. ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಡಿಜಿಟಲ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರು. ಹೌದು, ಡಿಜಿಟಲ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ನಮಗೆ ಪರಿಚಯ ಆಗದೇ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ರೆ ಕಳೆದ 10 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಕೆಲಸಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಡೆಮೋಕ್ರಟೈಸರ್. ಆದರೆ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಏನು ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿದ್ಧ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ ನಮ್ಮ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ದೇಶ ಭಾಷೆಗಳನ್ನು ಕಲಿಸುವ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ಗಳನ್ನು ನಿರ್ದಾಕ್ಷಿಣ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಕೋರ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸಿಗೆ ಕೊಡಿ, ಕನ್ನಡಕ್ಕೆ 4 ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಯಾಕೆ, 2 ಸಾಕು. ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಿಗೆ 3 ಯಾಕೆ ಬೇಕು, 5 ಕೊಡಿ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ. ಸೊ ಕೋರ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋದಾಗ ದ ಅವರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್, the regional languages is being drastically reduced, and the teachers are not considered as equivalent to the people who teach technology and science. So ಇದರ ಅರ್ಥ ಏನು ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಜ್ಞಾನದ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ ಕಾಲದಿಂದ ಕಾಲಕ್ಕೆ ಬದಲಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಷೆಯನ್ನು ಬರೀ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಅಂತ ಉಳಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಸೈನ್ಸು, ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ, ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗು, ಮೆಡಿಸಿನ್ ಇವು ನಾಲೆಜ್ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ಭಾಷೆಯ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನುವ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ರಾಜಕಾರಣಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಬಂದುಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ದಲಿತರು ಅಥವಾ ತಳವರ್ಗದ ಜನ ಕೂಡ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳೋದು ಅದೇ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ. ಕನ್ನಡ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿನ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಬಟ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ. How best we can make use of technology once again depends on how we educate our people to use technology for our languages. But when our education system is not encouraging teaching language, the questions are only multiple choice questions. There's no question of teaching critical thinking in our languages. Technology itself cannot guarantee the long life of a language. ಒನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ನಮ್ಮದು. ನಾವು ಬಳಸೋವರೆಗೂ ಕನ್ನಡ ಉಳಿದಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಳಸೋದು ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಕುಗ್ತಾ 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 ಸೌದು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಎನ್ನುವ ಆತಂಕ ಇದೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ಉತ್ಪ್ರೇಕ್ಷೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಸತ್ತು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಸಾಯಲ್ಲ, ಬದುಕಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದರ ಕೃಶವಾಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಎನ್ನುವ ಹೆದರಿಕೆ ನನಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಅಫ್ರೈಡ್ ದ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಇಸ್ ಬಿಕಮಿಂಗ್ ವೀಕರ್. ದಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಫಿಯರ್. It is in our hands to strengthen it. That we have to learn from our friends of Tamil language. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That was very well summed up. Though I wanted to end this with some sort of hope and positive thinking, but OL and sir has really scared us. So let us not get into that disappointing or sad phase, and let us say that we are preserving our language and with that our identity. And thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
ಭಾಷೆಯ ಅಸ್ತಿತ್ವದ ನೆಲೆಯನ್ನು ಕುರಿತು ನಡೆದಂತಹ ಈ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳೋಣ.
Thank you to all the panel members, Mr. L Nagabhushanaswamy, Mr. Paul Zacharia, Mr. Perumal Murugan, Mr. Vadrevu Chinaveerabhadrudu, and Madam Pratibha Nandakumar. This was the inaugural session, South India Languages, the Question of Existence, Book Brahma Literature Festival 2024.
ಈ ಎರಡನೇ ದಿನದ ಮೊದಲ ಗೋಷ್ಠಿಯ ಸೆಷನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ನರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದವರು ಪಾಲಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಫರ್ನಿಚರ್ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಲಿಮಿಟೆಡ್. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಈ ವೇದಿಕೆಯ ಪರವಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸ್ತೀವಿ.
Thanking our partners for the day: Platinum partner Ramaya University, University of Applied Science; Golden partner El Sita, El Shia, Karnataka Tourism; Silver partner Pali Institute, Kalaburgi, Prarthana World School; Associate partner MG Motors, Sapna, Salt, Sheshadripuram Educational Trust, Kaveri Hospital, Selco, Siri, Kaveri Emporium, Asharana, Alvas, Andolana, Ankita Pustaka, Bhavani, Blossoms, Harivu Books, Kambada Kone, Polestar, Shraddhas, Tallurs, Tescom, Vidyarthi Bhavana and She SR; Print media partners Prajavani, Deccan Herald, Mathrubhumi, Andhra Jyoti; Radio partners Big FM; Digital media South First; Institutional partners Alvars Moodbidre, NMKRV and Surana Educational Institutions. Thank you.